Welcome back to Square Business, where it's all about moving with integrity in a chaotic world. My name is Rodney Sorrell. I'm your host. Today, joining me, I have a good friend of mine. Her name is CiAnna Moore, who is the founder of Just a Bunch of Felons Incorporated. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm good. Can't complain about a thing. If I did, we'd be here till tomorrow.
You right. It's the next week.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah. Well, glad to have you here. Of course, we're going to talk about your organization and everything that it entails. But for the people that don't know, let them know a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I am the founder of Just a Bunch of Felons Incorporated. I also serve as the chairpresident. Our company is basically going to assist convicted felons and people that are struggling with addiction back into society. Help with re-entry into society.
Okay. And that lines up a little bit with what I do. I do case management for community corrections. So I work with people who have bond supervision cases, circuit court magistrate, CPS, so a plethora of things. But the majority of our clients are in recovery, have experienced addiction or, to some degree, some severe, some moderate. But we definitely try to help them get back on track, finding housing and things like that, help them get their ID back, all that good stuff. Is that sort of what you guys do as well?
Yeah, we do almost the exact same thing, except for we're more hands-on. So we're going to hold people accountable when they come home, because I've seen that people will go back into addiction for small things, you know. So we're there to make sure that they think about their decision before they make it.
Yeah. Or it's sort of like that angel that sits on this shoulder and the devil sits on that shoulder. So yeah, that's really important because when we see when we send people off the treatment, normally we have to send them up north. Southern West Virginia, we don't have very many resources down this way. I know Huntington has a lot around that area, Putnam County, Capel County, but we send a lot of people to like places like Parkersburg and Wheeling and things like that. Do you guys experience the same or?
Yeah, we actually do, because I actually feel like it's better to send them away from where what took them into that dark place.
What's familiar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to take them away from anything that's familiar will
Gotcha.
actually assist them with continuing on.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you this: with working in this population, what inspired you to start this nonprofit, and what drove you to want to deep dive into this field? And I guess really what I'm asking is what keeps you going in it.
Okay, so I've experienced firsthand with just noticed the lack of opportunity that we have after the mistakes that we've made.
Yeah.
So I see that we are judged more off of our background versus who we are trying to become. So that's what has me grounded in this. Just to give people the opportunity that I wish I had when I had gotten to whatever I got into.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that. With your, I know you had mentioned we had a prior conversation about criminal history and things. What kind of trouble, if you don't mind talking about that, what kind of things did you get into, and then how did you transition to where you are today?
Okay, so I come from a long family of of trouble. So I just been into some things that I want to say I regret, but I don't, because I wouldn't be the person that I am today. But everything that I've went through, I've overcame. I've
Gotcha.
overcame it, and that's what put me here today to try to help other people in my situation overcome.
Okay. And working with, we live in a small rural area, so I'm sure that you run across people that we know, our community, first of all, the black community in a small rural area, everybody knows everybody. And I've had experiences this week, somebody came into our office and they knew who I was, and they immediately put their head down. I mean, you can see the embarrassment on their face. And sometimes that's hard to deal with, but, I approach it like, we're not here to judge. We all got problems one way or another. do you experience that? And if you do, how do you handle that?
Of course we experience it. Like you said, we're in a small town where everybody
Uh-huh.
knows everybody. So, um, I get that people are embarrassed. But I just feel like be more embarrassed when you don't reach out for the help.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you want the help, you stand tall, you hold your shoulders back, and you say, "I'm going to get that help, and I'm going to be better, no
Yeah.
matter what barriers put in front of you or
Mm-hmm.
obstacle. You have to overcome it." So,
Yeah.
I just feel like you can't overcome something that you don't want to.
Yeah. I think that also ties in with the stigma, which is why a lot of people don't seek treatment or just plain don't ask for help, is because they're afraid of being judged before they even get a chance to explain what they went through, and some see it as hopeless. So it's pretty tough to try and figure out how to navigate that because everybody's different, and sometimes you don't want to say the wrong thing or
Right.
ruffle feathers that you didn't mean to. How do you guys maneuver through that?
Yep.
And when you're trying to meet somebody where they are.
So you have to, like you said, you meet them where they are, and you can. I'm not going to say bring yourself down to that level,
Uh huh.
but you want to build some type of trust, overstanding. You know
Yeah.
what their circumstance, because everybody has a story.
Mm-hmm.
Like our prior conversation, you're like we're like two steps away from getting in trouble to
Yeah.
being that person.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
we can't judge. We have to overstand their circumstance as well,
Mm-hmm.
so that we can continue on the journey.
Okay. Yeah. When I say meet them where they're at, what I mean is empathize,
Right.
and instead of sometimes you got to keep yourself in check sometimes.
Of course.
you know as a case manager, when I'm talking with someone, and they're giving me their experiences and talking about what they went through, in my mind I try to place myself in their shoes, whether I could fathom what they went through or not. I try my best to place myself there and think, man, what if this was me? What would I feel? How would I think? How would I interpret, say going to therapy? A lot of people, they don't want to do it. They view it as like weak, and that's how I build dialogue with them, trying to build that trust. I tell them first things first. I don't know everything. I can learn from them just like they can learn from me. I know a lot of things from textbook and repetition. They know real world experience, and I think I've done a pretty good job with connecting with folks as far as building trust and stuff like that. But with you actually having that worldly experience, uh, being on the other side of the tracks, how does that resonate with the people you work with?
I actually think it resonates very well,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like people would prefer to be with people that's actually experienced it.
Right.
So I don't want to hear nothing if don't tell me nothing if you haven't been through it. You've never been in my shoes, so how could you tell me what to do?
Right.
But I mean, at the same time, even if you haven't been in my shoes, a lot of people can lead you in the correct way, because obviously they've done something right to not have to be in that
Right.
position. So as far as having that experience that they have, um, it's just I think I'm more empathetic to it.
Mm-hmm.
I have a heart for it. It's more personal for me,
Yeah.
and then that's about
It
it.
just hits home.
It does.
So what do you think? What do you think the best way to like do intervention, say with family members? People that haven't lived through addiction but have lived with someone who's going through it. That's a whole experience in its own. For the people watching, what do you think is the best route for immediate family members to go? If they want to help their loved one.
The same way you have to empathize. You never want to show blame,
Mm-hmm.
to make them feel smaller than what they are. And it doesn't always work, but it'll help with your conscience. I know that
Yeah.
much, to say that, hey, I tried.
At least you tried.
At least you tried.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. But like I said, you just still have to try to understand their reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
And and even if you can't, just pretend that you do, I would say, so that they can explain or express really how they feel. Because I had asked one of my family members, like, what was your reason, and what made you want to go and seek support? And he was just like, it actually wasn't someone telling him, hey, you need to go. He said, I have my own personal experience with overdose, and
yeah.
he said, I was just tired of it.
So he had his own revelation through experience.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. That's powerful, man. I think that addiction has affected all of our families, in one way or another. I've lived through, I've had that experience with a couple, close family members of mine who, are still in active addiction, and have been for years. And, just, it takes time to process it all, and just to figure out your way, especially, if it happened to me at a young age. I was 13, 14 years old, not really understanding things that were going on around me. I understood it, but not like I do now. I can see it from both perspectives. I feel, well, two different perspectives, I'll put it that way. And I can empathize a lot more than I could when we were younger. So I try to have an optimistic view whenever I'm working with this population that we serve right now. Sometimes, you see someone do good for a while, and then they mess up, which, that's going to happen.
Of course.
It's just the way it is. It's always going to be obstacles in the road, but it's very rewarding, when we see people graduate from our program and they go on to, raise a family and do good things. So that's rewarding, but in the midst of it, it does get frustrating sometimes, but you gotta keep yourself in check. You can't just cast people to the wayside, because, that just goes against everything that we're working for in the first place.
Right.
So I really can appreciate what you started, and the people that you're helping. I think it's going to improve our community a lot. And we've seen just awareness of recovery and everything. It's grown in the past, I'll say 5 to 10 years, the last decade. Yeah. So awareness is growing, but the problem is still, permeating, still persistent. I don't think we've really cracked the code just yet.
Right.
I don't think there's a cure. Like, what do you think? Do you think there's a cure?
It's definitely not
so
a
to
cure.
speak.
No. It's definitely not a cure, because when you take one, here comes 2 more.
Yeah.
So it's definitely not a cure, but we can put a dent in it.
Yeah.
That's my biggest thing. Like,
yeah.
I think just helping one person is a dent to me.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to let someone say, hey, just a bunch of Felons Incorporated, they I got off drugs, I'm doing better, and now I'm helping people, so
mm-hmm.
It takes a village. So if we could build leaders to go out here and help, we could definitely put a dent in it.
Yeah. Where did the name come from? Just a bunch of felons. Did you come up with that?
I did. So I was into a argument one time with someone, and she was just like, y'all ain't nothing but just a bunch of felons. So everything that, and my mom goes, everything that people throw at you, CiAnna, instead of using it in a negative way, because I could have just punched, but I was like, you know what, we gonna turn this thing around. Yep. And do something with it. And she's right. That's what I was.
You turned it into power.
Yeah, real power. So
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I was, I
That's
was a
awesome.
felon. I still am. I'm still am a felon. But at the same time, I got degrees on degrees. I'm
Mm-hmm.
out here doing my thing, and now I'm trying to help people to get to where I'm at. Like, our mistakes does not define us for the future.
That's right. That's right.
So, and if we could get everybody to see it that way, that some of us, not everybody, but some of us really want to change. Some of us
Mm-hmm.
really want to do right. So,
That's awesome. So how long has just a bunch of felons been in operation?
we're fairly new. So we started this year in 2025.
Okay.
And we're hoping to be going on forever.
Yeah.
Forever to come.
Is your team currently growing or?
So right now we're searching for volunteers for our outreach program to reach out to some of the facilities and to build us a database of resources. We're looking for event planners because next year we're going to be having plenty of events and hopefully get a bunch of people off the street. So
yeah, and that's probably the best way to to touch the community is really just showing up and showing face because there's a lot of good work that can be done, but how can you do it if people don't know who you are?
Exactly.
And I've with my photography business and all the things that I do, that's helped me tremendously. If I hadn't done that stuff like the Women's Expo, stuff like that, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. I still have a long way to go, but it's definitely helped.
Yeah.
So that's good. So you got a small team. What does the team consist of? Because I know you said you're the founder, but what other integral roles are played within the organization?
Okay, so I'm the chair, president. So we have a board of directors, actually. So we govern what's going on the outs.
Yeah.
But I have an outreach director. We have our secretaries and our treasurers, and then the vice chair, and then me as the chair president.
Okay.
As the chair president, I'm outside with it.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can say it. Like,
Boots to the ground.
Yeah, that's it. Boots to the ground, to make sure that the mission is being reached.
Mm-hmm.
My vice chair, she got my back. She's the same. Wherever I can't show up, she's showing up for me full force, if not stronger. And then our outreach director, she's awesome. Reaching out to all these facilities so that we can have the resources.
Yeah.
So that we can put people back on track into the community.
How's that search going? Because like we had discussed before, a lot of places around our area, really just southern West Virginia, period. From Beckley down, we don't really have that much.
Right.
So how is that search for resources going for you guys? Like, do you have a good network? It might not be too big right now, but how's your network right now?
Well, it's coming along. Our outreach director is actually out in Mooresville, North Carolina. So that gives us a broader, database to work with.
You could send somebody to another state if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So there could be a barrier to that. If someone has a case, whether it be in Raleigh County or anywhere in West Virginia,
right.
Maybe they aren't allowed to leave the state. So the people that you can send that far, where do you find those people?
For the people that can't go that far?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, we really haven't even thought it through yet. But I would think that if I've seen in plenty of cases that if you go to court and advocate on their behalf, that they're able to send people to different states. Actually, if you want to probate, if you want to go to probation in a different state, you're able to do that as well. So if the judge sentenced you to probation, he could probate this person to North Carolina if they could find housing there, and then they can do their rehabs or whatever in that area.
That's interesting. I didn't know that you could transfer that way. How, if you have any experience with that yet? Have you had any experience where something like that has happened?
Yeah, my own personal experience.
Oh, okay.
Now, I didn't have to do rehab, but I did. Whenever it was time for me to go, I probated there, and then I got when I was in Lexington, North Carolina, they had a program called the Get Right program.
Uh-huh.
So I went there and went through the classes and stuff there.
Okay.
But
did it make things easier? Well, I'm sure it wasn't easy at all, but did it make your process smoother as far as just pursuing sobriety, being in recovery, and staying true to that foundation that you built in the beginning?
I didn't really have to deal with like sobriety or anything. Like I've never even done drugs before.
Okay.
I've just been in trouble,
making
wrong decisions.
Okay,
just making the wrong decisions. But whenever I transferred there, it was a lot easier for me because nobody knew who I was. I could ride down the street and I didn't have to worry about a cop saying, "Hey, your license was suspended 2 months ago," and I wanted to make sure that they were active now. I wasn't getting. I hate using harassed, but that's kind of what it is. I didn't want to feel harassed. So being somewhere else where I don't know anybody, I felt like fresh meat. Everybody's looking like, who is this new girl?
Yeah.
So it actually builds your confidence to be able to go to different places that you're not looked down on.
Not looking over your shoulder all the time.
Exactly.
And, you can actually let your shoulders down and be who you are.
Exactly.
Without fear of judgment. Okay. So, just a bunch of felons. We've talked about the people that you serve. Let's move on to systemic barriers and touch on that really quick. What is probably your biggest barrier right now? And I got a feeling you're about to say housing, because that's ours too.
That's the biggest barrier, because how can people get their self in order if they're sleeping on the streets?
Right.
You can't even take a shower to even get dressed and go to an interview. I feel like that's the biggest issue that we have. Other than that, background checks are necessary, but at the same time, after they do the background check, especially if they tell you from the beginning their situation, I think that people should have some type of empathy in place there. Even if you got to put them on a probationary period to watch them in the beginning, just to build that trust with them. So finding jobs for people like me and people like the people that are battling with addiction, housing, jobs. I feel like that society forgives, but the system don't. So they're gonna that thing follows you a long time. 7 years, like, is a long time. Like my last charge was 7 years ago. So I'm like, whoo. I finally made it. When I run that background, they don't see nothing. So, but just imagine having to go that long with having to hop house to house, or I can't get right. I can't get myself together. But at the same time, I know I didn't want to go back to jail. So I'm gonna try my best to make it work.
Man, how do you hold on to hope over that long of a period?
You just gotta have support. Like, my fiance is my everything. Like, he's pushed me on the days that I felt like I wanted to end my life. Because it gets hard when you're getting looked down on and nobody wants to give you a chance. If you got my skills are there, I got everything that you're needing, but you'll rather hire him or her because they don't have a background, and they don't have half the skills that I have to offer. So just having that support there, someone to hold me accountable when I'm doing wrong, that pushed me through.
And man, that's a tough. I can only imagine how tough that is. Things look a lot different on paper, like you just mentioned. You could have, you have been doing good ever since then. But even though you're doing good, like you said, on paper, they don't see the progression. They don't see the positive stuff. And then I think that's like human nature, like human tendency, just to focus on all the negative things, because that's what sticks in our mind. If somebody's doing good, okay, cool, we're not worrying about it, we ain't tripping. But as soon as you do one thing, like if you got a hiccup or an obstacle that you run into, now it's like we're resetting the clock. And then that's when hope wants to go out the door. So that's really good that you have a great support system, but a lot of people that we work with, they don't have that,
Right.
and that's what I want to transition into is just how much working in this field weighs on you, and how to work through it. And when you deal with secondhand trauma, we work with these folks and we know almost everything about them.
Right.
I don't want to say we know everything because nobody knows everything about us.
Right.
Maybe my wife does, maybe your fiance
Right.
does, but other than that, But working in this field and just dealing with that secondhand trauma, how do you avoid burnout? How do you keep yourself in check and not run off the rails, so to speak?
So being in the first-hand trauma part of it, just turn around looking in the mirror. I can't judge nobody because I'm on paper. I'm them. I'm who everybody say they are.
Mm-hmm.
I could meet a person and the way that I'm talking to you right now, they'll look at me, and if I told them the trouble that I've been in, they'd be like, I wouldn't even have known it. But what does a criminal look like?
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So.
Right.
The sweetest person could be the worst person in the world, and vice versa. The worst person in the world could actually be the biggest heart.
Yeah.
So we can't judge the books by the cover. Mm-hmm. Let people tell their story. Let people acknowledge what they did wrong, and then try to make it right.
Yeah.
And
that's what empathy is. And we talked about that before, where what I think empathy is literally simply going out of the way to help somebody and just to understand them.
Right.
We live in a world everything is getting faster. I personally feel like everything is getting more. Everybody's become more independent as far as everybody's just trying to make it to tomorrow.
Right.
You know what I mean? So nobody's reaching back to help pull the next one.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where we're going wrong. We think we want to get everything on our own, and we feel like we don't need anybody.
Right.
But we all need each other. Right. Like you and I, we need each other right now. What would this episode be if I was just sitting here, sitting across from an empty chair?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we got to go out the way. You might not always want to do it.
You're right.
But who else?
You're right.
So
you're right.
But tell the people where they can how they can reach out to you, and maybe you have a website or phone number they can call.
Okay, yep. So we have a phone number. It is 681-245-7790. And you can reach me or anybody from the outreach team by calling that number. We do have a website. It's jabof.net. You could go in there and apply to be a volunteer. We need that.
Volunteers, we're looking for you.
Yeah.
Show up. So I'm going to leave that information in the description. You guys can follow that. CiAnna, appreciate you so much for coming in and speaking with me. I hope that we can collaborate one day, and because I think we can learn a lot of things from you, and vice versa. So appreciate you coming in today.
Nice to see you.
It's a pleasure. So like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for tuning in to the Square Business Podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Rodney, and just share this, comment, let us know what you think about the things that we've talked about. If you have experienced addiction, or you have a loved one that is currently in active addiction or is going through it before, let us know. Share your experiences. We would love to hear about it.